let's talk about why we did this. We get calls all the time from you guys saying, hey, can we just get like a little insight of your role play group? And we tell you no, you got to commit. We say, hey, or you say, hey, can we see your coaching call? And we've actually started to say yes. And that's why we did this video. We want you to be able to get an insight on what we're doing. So you're going to see this one. You're going to then in a couple weeks see our role play session. You're going to, in a couple weeks, you're going to see our one-on-one calls and what those look like. If you've followed Dwayne and I for a long time, we throw up our hands, we wave the white flag, and we let you know how transparent we are. We're not hiding anything. We want you guys to exceed. And as we grow, we're figuring out the best ways to do that. We give you all the content on YouTube. We tell you all the books to read. I've got probably 20 different freemiums, PDFs that you can ask for. I've taken so many Zoom calls, shown you where to knock, picked apart your business, all for free. And so now, if you want to get an inside look, this is why we did this. We're going to record a whole meeting and we're going to put it on YouTube. So you guys can see the leaderboards and the systems we follow and the book club that we talk about and the type of training. So you can see I've got Zoom call going up there. And then I'm over here and we'll give you kind of like a sports play-by-play as we go through this. So
you guys get your cameras up. And then tell me what you did this last week. William, you had a big week. Let's chat about it.
Yeah, buddy. So 3 under contract, 3 closed deals. One was a double-sided deal, got the buy and the sell. And then the other one was a land listing that went immediately under contract. So pretty exciting stuff. I don't do that often on the buy and the sell. So that was a big win for me.
Huge, huge. He's a rookie agent and he's outperforming everybody on this group.
Why don't you usually do the double-ended deals?
On the double-ended, so usually it's about 60 to 70% that the buy side will come in. As much as I try and push the properties, market the properties, the MLS is the best marketer out there that pushes it to all the agents. So I wish I could get both sides all the time, but usually doesn't happen.
I want to comment something real quick too. I think sometimes we might be asking William the wrong questions and therefore we don't get the right things out of him. The reason William is continuously crushing it is because his vision is bigger than most of yours in this group, right? He just made $100,000 last month and he now is super excited about the next deal, doubling the next deal, right? So his vision is really big. What he wants to accomplish in the next 5 years is big. And that's why he's crushing it. So sometimes you guys just got to increase that vision, right? The bigger the why, the easier the how. And there's very few people better than William at that.
And I love your background too, Jeremy.
William, dive into it, dude. You're a rookie. You've closed, 45 deals now and got a
No, I think he's in the 50s now. Are you in the 50s yet?
We're at 47 now and pending and sold at 51 right now.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. You've been in our program how long?
Since February.
Okay. So you're about 10 months, 8 months, 9 months, right in there. Yeah. So tell us why you drive so hard. Why are you outperforming everybody as a rookie agent? What is your vision? Why are you doing what you're doing?
You talked about this, Dwayne, about creating a system that automates itself. And that is my long-term goal. And I am starting to see that now I'm having people reach out to me because how well I treated X, Y, and Z person. And it's really, I'm starting to get a lot of referrals. Like I've got a board here of all the different deals and where the leads came from. And I'm starting to see RRR, which is referral. And that's starting to really build. So like you caught me on the vision of, hey, if you can push so hard and like even the signage and all that stuff, that's to build that snowball so big to where you said, Dwayne, if I can start getting people to call me to say, hey, I met you or I saw you, like I got these big 4x4 foot signs. This dude called me last week. He's like, hey, I saw your sign and I looked up realtors near me. You were number one. And then immediately set a listing appointment and signed the listing agreement in an hour and a half. It was insane. But the vision for me is like automation where I can get those calls. That's the long-term goal is like you said, Dwayne, I don't want to have to be out there like pushing constantly. Eventually there comes a point where it's like, I've got to create the system that they call me.
Dude, I love that. I'm saying that to everybody. I mean, everybody in this program has heard me say this so many times. You've got to go grind and do the hard work first. Once you do the hard work, the results will come. But guess what? As you're doing the hard work, money's coming in your pocket. William had $100,000 month. How many of you guys would love $100,000 month? Good. What do you got to do? Got to freaking go work for it, right? It's got to be grind harder than anybody else. And I love what William's done here because I think Williams followed our program to a T in the fact that he's pushing for how many under contracts. It doesn't worry about last month. And then he's building his systems as he goes, but contacting and putting under contract are his primary business. This is probably more money than Williams ever made in his life, and he's still not even close to stopped. He's going harder and harder. And the cool thing is, and I preach this because I saw this in my career, when you go out and you put tons of deals under contract, people will want to work with you. They see how successful you are. Just like what William said. I saw your big sign again. I looked you up. You're the beast of the industry. I use you without question. Here we go. And it's because of the success. Also, because of the success, William's getting all the referrals because everybody's saying, use him. He's the best. Look at the volume he's doing. And when we pull up a leaderboard, you guys are going to see this. William closed 3 deals this last week. A lot of you guys would roll over and go, okay, yeah, I got a big check. William also put 3 more under contract this week, and he filled the void that he just closed. That's the name of the game. I was talking to Frankie this last week. I was like, you got to know how many you should have under contract. And then you got to go constantly and keep that many under contract at all times, regardless of what paid out. And if you guys will do this, you will follow Williams' footsteps and you will see massive, massive success. So anybody looking to go build that business, just do what we tell you to do. I can't tell you how important that is. Go work, do bigger contacts, go do more volume, and then build systems around your success. Oscar, go ahead, buddy.
Yesterday, man, I was like my first full day really door knocking and using guys' strategies. I picked the neighborhood strategically with the one that has the most turnover. And I got so overwhelmed with the amount of leads I was getting. I texted Jeremy. So I knocked on 20 doors, 18 responses. And out of those 18 responses, 6 people were interested in buying. And it's like a Latino community. They're all Mexican, but they're all misinformed about what they need to be able to buy. One guy literally has a mobile home that's worth $50,000. He paid for it cash, and we're gonna sell it to be able to get him to his next place. And I forwarded him to the lender. And this morning he's like, yeah, this dude's ready to go. He basically like good, but he thinks that he needed to be at the same employer for 2 years to be able to buy. And he has a good social and everything. And that's my question is, now I'm picking up all these buyer leads, not necessarily listing leads. So I'm trying to figure out, should that be my focus, being a buyer's agent right now, or now that I'm starting, or is this more of a listing program that you're talking about?
Great question. Great question. I'm going to answer that briefly because we'll dive into this more into the training section of it. But congrats on getting out there, and everybody watch the example. You go out, you work, you get more work than you know what to do with. That happens every time. I remember Justin saying that. I remember countless other people saying this. Oh my gosh, I've got more work than I know what to do with. Oscar, welcome to the program. Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen, but deal with everybody. If they're active buyers and ready to move right now, get showing assistants to show houses and put them under contract. Okay. We'll talk more about that when we get into the training section of it. Bring it back up to me. But your answer is yes. You don't ever pass off a buyer because you're looking for sellers. Always put everybody under contract. It all puts money in your pocket so you can fly around like Oprah and go do fun things. Saad.
So just not to put William on the spot, but trying to understand, regularly I see his contacts are around like 180, and I'm like, how is he doing 3 under contract and doing 100 contacts or even less? William, do you mind like diving deeper into that? Like, how do you, like, what's your process? How do you do so little contacts and get so much out of it?
Yeah. So at the beginning, when I really like was grinding with Dwayne and Jeremy, and not saying that I'm not going to pick that back up right now, it's hunting season. So hopefully Dwayne can, but grinding Big thing about it is if you're winning, you got to tell everybody that you're winning. And I think people in my sphere were like, dude, like all I see is under contract, sold, pending, sold. Like all the people in my sphere were starting to see that. Then I had a guy, that land listing that went under contract last week, I had a guy that was saying, I literally just looked up online realtors who sell a lot of land in Jefferson County, and you popped up and you were like the number one land guy that I could see. So once you're winning, take that clout and put it everywhere. Put it on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google, all of those different platforms, because people, if like Dwayne said, once you get something under contract and all the realtors start finding out about it, then you start to build this attention-based sale. And once you capture the attention of the public, that's how I'm getting a lot of these under contract, is the public. I'm not saying I'm great, but like I've kind of caught the public's attention a little bit, and I'm not getting a huge percentage of the whole lead pool, but all I need is 1% of that. So that's how, from what I can see, Saad, is just telling people about the wins and showcasing the wins. And then they're like, well, this guy just isn't talking about it. He's actually doing it.
Hop on real quick and share insight just from the coach perspective. Again, Saad, you're asking the wrong question. That's like going to Michael Jordan saying, oh my gosh, you just won 3 in a row. What are you doing that I'm not doing? You're asking the wrong question. We need to go look at what he was doing at the beginning. You need to know what he was doing at the beginning and replicate that. The dude was grinding 24/7. He had a scooter. It was branded. He had a light on it. He was knocking at nighttime. I've got videos saved on my phone from him sending those to me. Right. And he was getting blasted on Facebook pages. Like he would always call Dwayne and I, holy crap, they're talking bad about me on this. What do I do here? What do I do here? Like, William, you're laughing because you remember that, right? And and so we're just asking the wrong questions. You guys have to go look at how he built that. And then now he's benefiting because he put his head down and he grinded, and then he got efficient. And then he was constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly asking us. How many of you guys are not asking us questions? How many of you are not calling us? How many of you are not like doing what you're supposed to? That's what you need to be focusing on, and how he built that at the beginning, and replicate that. Don't replicate what he's doing now, because what he did here got him to where he's at now.
Yeah. And to add to that too, so Jeremy and I had a big talk about this, because Dwayne, we talked a little bit about this as well. I'm learning that there's a physical piece of marketing. I went to school for a marketing degree, so there's marketing involved, but you can never forget the grind piece. And that's where Jeremy and I talked. And if I can take the experience that I have in the marketing, the online space, and the signage and all that, and combine it with the prospecting, like we just put a billboard up on the side of the highway. And I just texted the group. I said, door knocking is about to get really fun, because not only is it the dude up on the billboard, but that guy just knocked on my door. Can you believe like what just happened? I'm getting people texting me all the time like, dude, it's all your billboard. That's nice. But there's a balance, because if you have someone that's completely distant from a relationship, you'll never get a call. But if you come and you connect and you bring both of those together, that's where you can win at a high level.
I'm paying Jeremy and Dwayne to coach me, to teach me how to do 100 deals a year. Like, it's incomprehensible. Like, I can't even fathom it, but I'm working toward it. And every time I call, they answer. Well, not every time, but if I call, I get it. Somebody answers. Dwayne picked up the phone. I'm like, what? Weird. Hello, is this really Dwayne? And we had a quick conversation. I was clear and concise. I got the information I needed. So these guys are here to support us. So if you're not using this group and Dwayne and Jeremy to help you go where you're going, then dig in, because they're here to help us. And I've learned it over time that it's legit. And because I want to get where William is.
Go grind, man. You're already there. You've got 5 under contract and growing each step and making changes as we tell you. So that's massive. What other struggles you guys have this week? If not, we're diving into book group, because I've got a lot I want to train on today.
Right now, this is not a venting period, but dude, man, I am dropping prices like crazy. This is like a sell. I feel like Jim Cramer out here, man. I'm like at 20 plus listings right now. And dude, I'm dropping every 2 weeks, 5%, 5%, 5%. What are you guys like hearing over there on your side of like the state, I guess, how's it going over there? Because it's like, man, crazy in Florida right now.
George, you're getting a ton of price objections, so you're really good at that. You just now need to start thinking outside the box, right? So you need a creative marketing video, which I don't think you have for every listing. You need to go do that. You need to get a lender that'll partner with you on the ad spend. Go do that. I don't think you're doing that. You need to do an open house every single week on those homes. And don't just do it on Saturday. Do it Wednesday, do it Friday, do it midday, do it in the evening. And then you need to get out and door knock, right? You need exposure. When the market slows down, you need more creativity. You can't do the same thing that you've been doing. You have to now start thinking outside the box and be more aggressive. I'd also say go start taking listings where homes are selling. Don't just take whatever listing. Go look where the market, like where buyers are buying, and go take listings around that stuff, because that's where buyers are buying. So just you got to think outside the box and be more aggressive.
Well, I think it's everywhere like that. I mean, people are having a lot of listings. I just had one close. It was on the market for a while. Biggest thing you need to get on board with is your clients. What is their why on the buy side? Help them understand the buy side, because in reality, the longer they sit on the sell side, the less money they're going to get, and what could tip on the buy side. That's our big kicker. If rates continue to drop, it's going to cost them a lot more money. Yes, they're going to sell, but it's going to cost them a lot more money on that buy side. So what do we need to do to help them transition? So get aggressive. Oftentimes, I do a 10,000 to 15,000 drop per week once we hit 7 days on the market. Don't wait so long. Set up your listing appointments to where you discuss that from the start. That way they expect that. Talk to them about the whys of sitting on the market, how it could hurt them. Talk to them about the different things that people think when it's sitting on the market. Help them understand their main goals and their purposes. What's our bottom line? Start lower, right? Don't start all the way at the top. Give them the 3 options of pricing. We can start low, we can start mid, we can start high. What are the advantages of all 3? Let's talk through it. Ask them all those questions. But if you already have 20 listings on the market and they're not moving, I would start getting more aggressive than just 5%. I would be going to them and saying, hey, let's take some big jumps. Let's drop 30 grand. Let's drop 40 grand. Let's get these to go under contract so you can help them buy immediately. All right, guys, book group. Jeremy, take it away, brother.
Okay, let's jump into book group. Okay, so let's talk about the 5-second rule. I put it in the group chat if you guys watched. There's a video by Gabby Thomas. She was interviewed again, Olympic athlete in track and field. She talked about how like most of her elite athlete friends, when they're talking about like what makes them do really well, none of them talk about the gold medals. None of them talk about the awards and the accolades. They all talk about the grind and falling in love with the process, right? So Saad and everyone had questions for William. You guys are focusing on the accolades. You need to fall in love with the grind. Hey, I'm going to ask William, what are you doing on a daily basis? What are you doing day in and day out that I'm not doing? That's the questions that you want to have. And that's why I love this book, right? Because most salespeople really struggle with sales and their mindset. And so this is a great book that can give you a competitive advantage. So this is our last meeting. We'll talk about this. Let's get 1 or 2 takeaways that you had from this month, what you're going to apply to your business. And then we're going to introduce again the book for next month. Let's take 2, maybe 3 minutes max on this. So 1 or 2 things you took away and how is it changing your business? And let's be quick and brief.
I was kind of slacking on it. Sorry. I actually took her at one of our KW events. She was a guest speaker. And she's like one of those people that you hear one of those songs, you're like, man, I could have invented that song, Peanut Butter and Jelly Time, and she talks about, 5-second rules. It's really simple. For some people, it's kind of hard. One thing I got from our previous book as well, too, that, what was it, Pitch Anything. She talks about, at least how I can relate it to our sales business, is that we know the dialogues, we know the scripts. Sometimes it's no longer knowing about the objection handlers and the closes. It's just more about the execution. And sometimes we have analysis paralysis of just saying what we have to. Like, I hear sometimes when we're doing our role plays for the door knocking, like, I'm just using Frankie as an example. Yesterday, he had like a lay me down. And, he was just beating around the bush instead of just saying like the common questions. Hey, what's your interpretation of the market, and just having them follow the process. Sometimes in our line of business, we overcomplicate it. And what I've learned from Dwayne and Jeremy in this line of business is sometimes we have to go with those feelings first by just saying what we know we should be saying. And sometimes the logical is kind of reverse of her 5-second rule. Hers is like, we can't think about the feelings. We just have to be the logical. Here, we have to be about our feelings and saying we know the logical part and just execute by just asking the question, although it may be uncomfortable for us to say that.
Love that.
So that's one thing.
Super cool. Thanks, George. Okay, one thing that I want you to write down, I read this, I was watching a Tony Robbins video this morning, and he talked about how we always hear knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Executed knowledge is power. That's the competitive advantage. All of you, let's say there's 100 people that I say read this book. Maybe 30 will read it, and then maybe 4 will actually apply it. That's the competitive advantage. So go execute what we learned. And there's literally no one better than the Iron Cowboy. And we're going to jump into his stuff this next month. So here in a couple of days, I highly recommend you go watch his documentaries. He's got 2 when he did 50 Ironmans in 50 days in 50 states. He wrote this book after that. Then he did 100 and 100 and 100, right? So in regards to mindset, there's no one better that we can learn from this guy. So go buy his book, watch his documentaries, go all in on him. He's one of the most authentic, humble, nicest people that you'll ever meet. And his take on mindset will rock your world if you allow it. So go get that book. We'll start that here in a couple of days.
Money. Thanks, Jeremy. So we're going to dive into leaderboard this week. We got William on top again. Will someone please go perform and let him have some competition? He will sell more houses, Jeffrey.
Okay, let's take a pause, just like sports analysts do, and let's talk about what we just saw. One of the biggest benefits of being in a coaching group like this is that synergy. Did you feel that? Everyone wanting to know, what is he doing well? And then your coach comes in and he gives you perspective. And then Dwayne comes in and he gives you a perspective. That synergy, being in the right room, can be so powerful and impactful for your business. And hopefully you caught that. So let me ask you this. Are you in a group like this? Whether it's our coaching program, another coaching program, your brokerage, how good is the team that you're playing on? That's a great question for you to ask. You can really blow up the trajectory of your business if you're actually in the room with the right people that will make you focus on the right things, that will push you to tweak your business, that will catch your errors. Because what happens is sometimes as realtors, our errors aren't corrected quick enough. And then all of a sudden, just like that example that I always share, like if you take a flight out of Salt Lake and you're 6 inches off, you can be all the way up north or all the way in the south, literally by 6 inches. So if you have a group like this that's constantly trying to push you back on course, then that'll allow you to produce more and have a higher level of production as a realtor. Think of the greatest teams like Tom Brady and Michael Jordan and LeBron James and the Warriors dynasty that they've had lately. It's that team environment. It's having the right people in the right room. And so that's what we saw here. And hopefully you caught that. Go back and rewind it, watch it again. But you got realtors all over Canada, all over the United States, and a lot of them are throwing down. You got George that just talked. He's killing. He's got 20 active listings in our program in Florida. You got Jeffrey, who's closed almost 30 deals. He's got 7 active listings. He's crushing it. Frankie's a first-year realtor. He just joined our program 3 or 4 months ago, and he's got almost 8 closed. He's got 5 pended, and I think like 5 or 6 listings. Like as a rookie, just got his license. And I could go down the list and list and list. And what's cool is they're all coming together, and we're all trying to figure out how do we get better. What can you teach me? What can you teach me? That power of synergy can really just impact your business. And then what did we do? We talked about a leaderboard. So in your brokerage, do you have a leaderboard? Are you chasing a number? Are you chasing other people? Are you gamifying this business? This business is really rough. It's really hard. You're gonna have a lot of emotional highs and a lot of emotional lows. But gamifying it, having leaderboards and incentives and rewards, that's the type of environment you wanna be in, because that'll push you through the days that are really rough. Okay, we also had a book club. If you watch my YouTube channel, you know I talk about this all the time, but we prioritize education because applied knowledge is your biggest competitive advantage. Sometimes all you need to do is chase down the right information, be in a group like this so you can learn how to apply it, and boom, you don't have to be the best realtor, you just have to be the best known, and you have to have the right tactics, and you can close a lot of deals. And so being a group where you're prioritizing your skill set and education, being a group where you have leaderboards, where everybody's collaborating together. Sometimes realtors are in a brokerage and no one shows up. And then you're never around a big dog producer. You never get that exposure. Sometimes the reason networking masterminds work really well is because if you rub shoulders with one person, with the right person, that can completely change your business, and it can put you on a completely different trajectory. There's a great video, if you watch, it's on Instagram, and it's these guys that have 1,000 golf balls at the top of a hill. They drop the golf balls and there's a bucket at the bottom. Not one golf ball goes in. They then have a professional golfer at the top. He has a chipper, he chips it in, goes right in the bucket. What does that principle teach us? If you're in the right room and you're taught to have the right focus, then you can absolutely explode your business. So hopefully you're catching all this. Hopefully you're taking a ton of notes so you can get a really good insight of what we talk about on a weekly basis. For the next 15, 20 minutes, we're going to hop back in so we can see what Dwayne teaches on. He usually will take the next 30 minutes. He'll train our group on different skill sets. We'll role play, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap it up and we'll give you another little insight from the coach's perspective.
You guys will too. I don't know how else to tell you guys this, but good criminy, get out and work and get the business coming in. And then let's start worrying about all the other systems. Okay, so we're going to dive into some role play real quick. I've got a couple things I want to touch on with role play. I'm going to record you, and then we're going to play it back. I think some of the biggest problems you guys are having right now, we're going to touch on this right now, right here, and just get some conclusions. So, Gustafsson, you ready, brother? So, Gabriel, we just want to wait because this election's nuts, and we've got to find out what the market's going to do first.
Okay. And what's got you, are you looking at buying a house, or are you looking at selling this one and buying a new one?
Well, we got to do both because we're outgrowing this one and we've got to get into a new one. But I think there's a good chance this market's going to tank.
Okay. And what makes you say that?
No, man, if Harris gets in there, it's going to be a bomb drop. If Trump gets in there, he's going to blow up the rest of the world, and we're going to have a bomb drop because the economy's there. So we just got to figure out what this market's going to do. We don't have a good candidate.
Yeah, totally with you. Do you know what home prices did after the last two elections?
I had no idea. I don't even remember that far back.
Yeah, it was a while ago now. After the 2020 election, the home prices actually went up 7%. Can you guess how much they went up back in 2016 after that election?
Oh, I have no idea. That was back in Obama days, right?
Yep, yeah. So after that election, it was closer to 26% that they went up.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So if you were able to save a ton of money by moving up your timeline instead of waiting until the election, is that something you'd want to consider?
Yeah, but how would we do that, dude? How do you think we're going to save money?
Okay. Well, do you know how much, on average right now, how much homes in your area are going up in value each year?
About 10% from what I've seen.
Yep, exactly. Yep, about 10%. And what price range are you looking at for your next home?
Probably about that 650 mark.
650. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So the 650 home today, if that goes up another 10% over the next year, how much will that have gone up in value in 1 year?
$65,000 if it does that. But Gabe, I think the big thing that I'm seeing is I just don't think we're going to continue once we get this new president involved.
You don't think we're going to continue in what?
In value. I don't think those values are going to continue at 10%.
Okay. And tell me a little bit more about that. What makes you not think they're going to keep going up?
Well, just that we got quick draw badmouth Trump, right? He's just going to say whatever he thinks, and man, it just creates tons of contention and fighting, and then you got Harris that doesn't know her head from the hole in the wall. She can't even read a teleprompter, and she's all about taking care of the poor, and I just don't see how our economy continues to go with the inflation we're in right now.
Okay, so what do you think is going to happen if Harris wins?
That's what I keep wanting to hold off for, my man.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about why this is super beneficial. A lot of you have seen Dwayne roleplay live on YouTube and Instagram. People love watching him roleplay, but talk about being in a group where you get to do the roleplay with him And what's cool is we've got all these realtors that are about to give feedback, and they're about to help him understand, hey, you probably should have gone here. You should have gone here. Dwayne's then going to replay the entire role play so that we can then all see where we messed up. Sometimes, just like athletes, there's a reason why watching film is so important. You have to be able to go back and watch yourself and catch what you probably didn't miss in the moment. That's why athletes have halftime. That's why they break up in quarters. That's why the best quarterbacks like Tom Brady are constantly in the film room to figure out what little tiny thing can they change so they can get a competitive advantage. Sometimes when you're prospecting on the phones or on the doors, it's your tonality right here. Or it's, you should have asked this question over here. And what happens is you don't catch it because you're not having anyone that gives you feedback. So that's why these weekly calls are so valuable. Usually we go through like 7 or 8 of these so that everybody gets the chance to catch that feedback. And then outside of that, that's why in our group, we're the only coaching group in the world that does this. But that's why we have 2 role play groups for $200 a month that run every single day. So you can role play with Dwayne here on the weekly calls. You can then hop out and go role play twice a day with all these other realtors and get that feedback. If you haven't read the book, it's called Effective Executive. It's one of my favorite books. And he talks about how most high-level executives, they actually have someone in their business that they're paying to give them feedback. Literally just access to feedback quicker is what helps businesses go faster. Amazon, Jeff Bezos just talked about this in an interview, talked about how they have over 1 million employees, 1.5 million, I think, worldwide. But they're still a high velocity company because they have people on payroll that are constantly giving them feedback about where to pivot, so they don't have to spend any time on that. And so coming into a coaching group like this, that's the benefit. Having Dwayne role play with Gabe, who just came into our coaching program, those pivots and adjustments, these role play sessions once a week, will really, really help you. And then even being on the sidelines and watching these role plays happen, you'll probably learn more and take more notes than you would elsewhere. So again, let's hop back in. Let's catch maybe 2 more minutes, but I just wanted to point that out. Make sure you're catching this because it's valuable information.
And if they tell you that answer, it's correct. So if we could have spun that around to say, so why do you think it went up regardless of our economy? Because you go back to 2008, we've had a crash. And then the economy bounced after a horrible crash. You go to Trump, and then we got Biden that came in, switched from Democratic to Republican. Why did it go up? Now, what do you think it was like prior to the election? Do you think there were people just like you today? And they're going to say yes. And so after the election, what causes every time that market to go up? Make them tell you that. Because what I was trying to get you to do is sell me, prove to me that I'm going to have this market increase. Right? Show me how I'm going to make $30,000 to $50,000. These are the type of questions you should ask to get them to engage with you and tell you that market's going to go up. How many homes did we sell last year? Nationwide, do we know? Rachel probably knows. She's got all the statistics.
Well, I know in my county, we sold 3,000 last year, and we typically sell 5,000 every year in my county.
Okay. Across the nation, though, does anybody have the number?
No.
4 million.
Right about 4 million, 3.9 million. Okay. The lowest since what year?
1964.
1963. You're on it, Rachel. I love it. You're right there. Okay. Does that mean there is zero supply and demand issues right now? What things spark a real estate transaction? Give me four ideas.
Death, baby, job change.
Okay. There's 3. What's the last one?
Divorce.
Boom. Marriages. Okay. I'm going to give you some numbers. I want you to write them down right now, memorize them so you can use them on every pitch. Okay. Last year, 3.9 million in sales, lowest since 1963. We had 7 million babies born last year.
All right. So are you catching these stats? He's talking about certain statistics that you need to know when you're talking to people on the phones, when you're making social media posts, when you're talking to people on the doors. There's certain little tiny statistics that can alter an entire conversation. Do you know them? Are you in a program that helps you understand what questions to write down? And so that's what's cool. I love this part of our weekly calls with Dwayne, is because he'll bring out these statistics and it'll just blow your mind. You'll be like, why am I not even talking about that? Like just recently on a role play this morning, we were talking about the statistic of how many agents didn't sell a deal last year. And the objection was, because on Tuesdays we go over objections on both our role plays. The objection was, well, don't all realtors do the same thing? So if you were asked that, how would you respond? Simply having one little statistic, one little one-liner can change the entire conversation. And so the one-liner that we gave everybody was, well, you would think that, right? But then let me ask you this. If that's the case, why did 85% of realtors worldwide not do a single deal last year? Why did 60% not renew their license a month ago? Why does the average realtor make $25,000 a year? And then just let that sink. Those questions, those lines that you can use can really help you close more deals. So if you're not closing a lot of deals from your conversations, you're not having a high conversion, it's probably because you just don't have those sets of lines or scripts to use. And so that's why I every week I take a ton of notes when I'm listening to Dwayne. And you can see everybody on here and how they're all taking notes and they're just like eating everything up that Dwayne talks about because he's so dang good at what he does. And so being in a group like this can help you get those little tiny nuggets. Even like Gabe, you're seeing him on here. He was in, he's been a realtor for a couple of years. He had a listing. I think he's closed about 10 deals this year. He had a listing that wasn't selling. Wasn't selling for about 4 months. He joined our role play group. After 24 hours, he saw the value. He joined our main coaching group. And then I had my first call with him. We talked about his listings and we talked about one, I think maybe two things that he needed to do differently. And so he did it right after our call. And within 7 hours, the listing went under contract. He'll make about $18,000. So that's all you need. It's the littlest, tiniest of things. And sometimes your brokers or mentors or people you're around, they haven't done enough deals or had enough experience to give you that little tiny detail or feedback to help you grow it up. So let's go back here. We'll wrap up. Let's listen to Dwayne for another minute. And then we're going to talk about some takeaways that you should have gotten from insight or being here today watching our group call.
So right there, you're going into a little bit of sales mode with your questions, Gabriel, which is fine, right? Because now you're starting to educate through your questions, which is good. What do I think at this point the market is going to do? Do I feel like prices are going to go down? Do I feel like interest rates are going to go down? What do I feel like as a consumer? What's my direct thought? Do we know? How important is that for you to know in order to overcome my objection? You got to have it, right? You got to know what I feel like is going to happen. When you say, hey, it's going to blow up, the housing market's going to crash. Cool. Tell me what you think is going to crash about it. Now, what could I say? I could say prices are going to drop, but then what's a really good question to that? Do you feel like our economy's been great? The last 4 years, has our economy been great? What are they going to say? If you look at nationwide,
we want you to see what the benefits are and the pros are to joining our group. So what did you see today? Let's talk about that. You saw that we prioritize our education. We talk about this on my YouTube channel all the time, but you actually saw us talk about it. We talk about key takeaways. How are we applying this to our business? We have it in a group format so everybody can talk. We talk about leaderboards. And like Dwayne mentioned earlier, we hyper-focus on a few that are really doing well so that everybody else can learn from them. And then we talk about struggles. And we customize these weekly trainings off of those struggles. And so it's very, very personalized. And then we talk about what do we need to do in order to have a strong end of the year, strong beginning of the year? How do we keep a competitive advantage in each of our markets? And that's where like that synergy and everyone collaborating together really, really benefits your business. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. You guys know you can call me at any time, 702-525-5766. You guys know you can call Dwayne at any time. You can reach out to him. You can text him. His number, you've seen it on his channel, is 801-243-4544. We're an open book. We want to help you with no strings attached that we end up working together. We're okay. We just want you to succeed. If at some point you're like, hey, I want to be in that group. I just watched their call and I love that synergy and I love what they're talking about. And I understand that being in a group like that can really alter my business. Awesome. Give us a call. We'll onboard you and we'll get you rolling. When we onboard you, you're ready to go within like a couple hours. We've got you in the group chat. You're on the role play calls. I've had my call with you. We're pivoting your entire business within 30 minutes. You're going. We don't mess around. But if that's not the case, that's okay. Today, we just wanted to give you an inside view Hopefully you took a ton of notes. Hopefully this was beneficial. If you don't end up working with us, like I said, totally okay. Hopefully you took away some key things. If you have any questions, put them here in the comments and I'll engage with you, or you guys know you can always reach out. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully this was beneficial, and we'll catch you on the next episode.